Ellie and Janice were a lesbian couple who had been together for, hang on, let me just check my notes. They had been together for 15 years. Ellie is an architect, and Janice was at the time a staff manager at an insurance company. They were very aware of his early life circumstances, and were kind of mixed, which is a very normal reaction for potential adoptive parents. They were mixed in terms of what was this experience going to be like, and they were worried about bonding, which I think is really important to emphasize, because in fact that has proven to be an ongoing issue in Cody's life. So they adopted Cody when he was 3 years old, and almost immediately there were real problems with the actual bonding and the attachment.
So I don't really know much about when I was younger. Apparently I was a bit of a scrapper, you know, got into it with a few of the other kids. And right around that time is when my mom's got permission to adopt me. And you know, I wasn't really cool with the idea at first. I wasn't really, you know, used to people being all cuddly with me and stuff. I was usually just you know, hit first, think later, right?
He continued to be a very difficult to soothe little boy. He didn't adjust well to the new circumstances. He was very challenging in terms of his moods, and when they attempted to soothe or comfort him, he would really become quite aggressive and push them away. So this was in keeping with our sense of him experiencing adoption disruption and having an insecure attachment right from the beginning of the adoption.
So now we're getting into the time where I do remember my moms, Ellie and Janice, kind of scooped me up from CAS. They, you know, nobody forced them to look after me. I wasn't really against it or for it at the time. I was too busy, you know, doing my own thing. But, you know, I guess they wanted to look after a kid, and they weren't getting any younger. I think they were like around 30 or something. So, like I said, I was a bit of a handful back then. You know, I was getting into fights with other kids and stuff, and I didn't really want anyone to be too near me. People kept on trying to push like workers and teachers and doctors on me, and you know, I was always fighting all the time, and they kept on saying, you know, like, use your words, Cody. And, you know, that never helped me get anywhere, and I was just like, well, whatever about that, you know.
Along the way, Ellie and Janice sought a lot of professional help, not only around testing and diagnosing what was going on with Cody, but also trying to determine the best possible way of parenting him, and also of helping him catch up socially and emotionally with the other children that he was in school with, that he was socializing with. And there weren't very many of them, because right from the early years, Cody was a loner. He didn't play well with others. He was highly competitive. If he didn't get his own way, or if something happened that was out of his control or didn't look favorably on him in terms of maybe winning or losing, he would fly into rages and become highly aggressive. He obviously started to demonstrate real issues with authority, with the teachers. When he was in grade 4 and he was 9 years old, the school social worker requested that testing be done to kind of get a handle of what was going on with Cody. And he was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, with conduct disorder, and a nonverbal learning disability. So although he could communicate and although he could present in a way that appeared that he was grasping specific concepts, in fact, his learning was challenged, and his ability to kind of decode and process information was challenged at a very early age.
So the grown-ups are always telling me to, you know, like, calm down and tell me how you feel, and they're going to be there forever for me. And, like, you know, yeah, right, no one's ever been there for me, you know. So I was always kind of out of control, you know. I didn't feel like I really fit in anywhere, and the other kids were always doing their own thing, but I really didn't get into that, you know. I was always kind of on my own.
Ellie and Janice told Cody he was adopted at this time when he was 9 years old. At the time, he seemed to accept the information as well as a 9-year-old could. He didn't appear particularly distressed by the information. But we do not know really how much he was able to integrate the new information that was coming to him. And we do know that his issues around attachment and abandonment have completely been reactivated by his going into care.
So I think I was about 9 or something, and you know, two big things got dropped on me at the time. They told me that I was adopted. Kind of made sense. I sort of felt, you know, like my mom didn't really want me, and I wasn't good enough for her, and, you know, pretty much not good enough for anything, you know. That kind of made me feel like, you know, I'm not really good at anything, or I'm just going to be wrong at everything I try, you know. That's how I felt. I just kind of wanted to be left alone at this point in my life, you know. I had all this crap going on, and so I know what people say about being adopted, you know. They say you should be happy, you were chosen, you were rescued or whatnot, but that's crap. I was left behind by some bitch who I don't even remember, and I was given up by other people that I don't even remember, and you know, that's my issue, but it's not a problem for me, and it's nothing that I need to talk to anyone about. I think people started feeling that, like, I'm just going to all of a sudden start gushing out all these emotions, you know, and, like, that just wasn't going to happen. So if that's not enough, next thing they do is drop it on me that I have, like, a diagnosis or a disorder or something, or whatever these guys want to call it, you know. They say, like, I have ADHD, which pretty much means I'm too stupid to go to school. All right, so I guess I should tell you about what happens at school. So, you know, I didn't really feel like I was doing anything right. I didn't feel like I was that great at school. But I wasn't going to go start telling people about how I feel, you know. And I didn't feel like I could do anything right at school. And then people just overall were driving me nuts, you know. People at home were driving me nuts. People at school were just getting on my nerves. And I felt like I couldn't do anything right. I couldn't breathe right. I couldn't walk to school right, you know. Someone would hassle me for jaywalking across the street or something, you know. Every little thing seemed to be wrong. So my mom's kept trying to get me to behave right, kept on telling me, you know, like, just do your best and behave at school and be good, but, you know, I just kept on scrapping. People kept on getting on my nerves, and that's just how I've dealt with things my whole life, you know. And eventually it just led to me hanging out with my friends, which were also considered, you know, the bad kids.
Puberty seemed to be a milestone that brought a lot of new difficulties for Cody, or reactivated old issues. His issues with peers, his aggression, inability to tolerate frustration, his inability to problem solve, all of these issues came to the forefront as he moved into elementary school and into high school, and have followed him and have escalated fairly consistently. So he has been, prior to coming into the group home, he was involved in a number of altercations at the school. He was also suspected of using substances. He's currently in grade 10 at Oakwood Collegiate. But he's a non-attender, so he's frequently truant, and teachers have a hard time kind of pinpointing who he is. So since coming to high school, Cody has had a good relationship with one teacher. And this is the teacher who teaches him music and drama and also some arts, John Gray. John really believes in Cody. He sees his potential.
So the things that I liked the best other than hanging out were my music class and my art class. There are things I enjoyed, you know, and I actually heard that I was pretty good at them. And sometimes throughout the day that would be the only class I would go to.
Cody is underperforming academically, and it's mostly connected to both being truant but also not following direction, having issues with authority, and more recently suspicions that he's actually attending class and that he's self-medicating with both alcohol and perhaps some form of street drugs.
So my mom's kept on, you know, they kept on staying after me. They kept on saying, you know, like, smarten up or you're going to end up like your real mom, and like I could give a shit about that. You know, maybe she's better off now that she's on her own.
I think it's important to mention here that these are some of his adoptive mom's worst fears, because they feel that Cody will follow in the footsteps of his biological parents, and that in fact he is very much at risk for a history of addictions, and also to become street involved and to drop out of school. So the more that he engages in these behaviors, the more anxious they have become. And this is really what has led to Cody coming into care to Acorn House.